Hi Professor Prakash and class. I will be presenting the effects of chlorination byproducts today. To achieve safe drinking water, the U.S. uses forms of disinfection to protect consumers against the potential presence of bacteria in their water supply. Chlorine, chloramines, and chlorine dioxide are some of the more common disinfection methods used at water facilities today. But 75% of these facilities use chlorination, making it the most widely used form of disinfection today, meaning 241 million people are exposed to chlorinated water daily. It is effective at killing many forms of pathogenic bacteria and viruses, although it is less effective at treating other organisms such as parasites. There are three methods to chlorinate water, but sodium hypochlorite is the most commonly used. Although it is expensive, it is considered the safest method. Liquefied chlorine gas is the most cost-effective, but more risks are involved. This is intended for larger, advanced facilities. Calcium hypochlorite is the third option. This is the most expensive method and is intended for smaller water facilities. Chlorine is widely used due to its various advantages. It is a very effective disinfectant, relatively easy to handle, cost-effective, and has a relatively good residual effect to kill residual bacteria. Beginning in the early 1900s, chlorination led to a dramatic decrease in waterborne illnesses, such as cholera, typhoid, and dysentery. For instance, typhoid fever in the U.S. dropped from an incidence of about 100 per 100,000 in 1900 to 0.1 per 100,000 in 2006. In 1854, John Snow used chlorine in an attempt to disinfect the Broad Street pump water supply in London, which caused a cholera outbreak. In 1908, the water utility in Jersey City, New Jersey, became the first in the U.S. to use full-scale water chlorination, using sodium hypochlorite. Chlorination has come a long way, as researchers estimate chlorination saves 25,000 lives daily, and is a major factor in the 50% increase in life expectancy during the 20th century. Chlorination byproducts form when chlorine interacts with organic matter in water. These byproducts can be classified in two main groups, THMs and HAAs. According to EPA, the maximum level of THMs cannot exceed 80 parts per billion, and HAAs cannot exceed 60 parts per billion. In 1974, Rook's discovery of the formation of haloforms during chlorination of the Rotterdam water supply sparked research of byproducts. In 1979, EPA set the first maximum contaminant level at 100 parts per billion for THMs. In 1998, Stage 1 byproducts rule set the maximum level for THM at 80 parts per billion, and for the first time, a level for HAAs at 60 parts per billion. In 2006, EPA revised these rules further to reduce health risks. Slide 10 shows a table of common byproducts, their concentration found in chlorinated water, and health effects found in animal testing. Chloroform, the most common byproduct, induced liver and kidney tumors in animals. As you can see, several of these are highly toxic and carcinogenic. The exposure levels for these animals are much higher than they would be for humans, but they still signify the potential risks. Health effects of chlorination byproducts. Chlorine byproducts do not break down quickly and are generally stored within the fatty tissues of the body, where they can alter DNA, suppress immune function, and interfere with natural cell growth. Chlorine byproducts trigger the production of free radicals in the body, causing cell damage and cancer risks. Studies have found a 38% increase in the risk for rectal cancer. U.S. incidence rates for rectal cancer is 44,000 cases per year, and 6,500 of these cases are associated with chlorination byproducts. Research also shows 21% increase in the risk for bladder cancer. The incidence rate is 47,000 cases per year, with 4,200 of these cases associated with chlorination byproducts. A positive correlation has been found between breast cancer and chlorination byproducts. One study demonstrated that women with breast cancer have 50% to 60% higher levels of organochlorines in their breast tissue than women without breast cancer. The second area is reproductive effects. In a study of more than 5,000 pregnant women in California, researchers found that women who drank more than 5 glasses a day of tap water, containing over 75 ppb of THMs, had a 9.5% risk of spontaneous abortion compared to women with less exposure to THMs. A positive correlation was also found between stillbirths and consumption of chlorinated surface water. The third area that I'll discuss is effects on the respiratory and integumentary system. A study in Europe found that children exposed to indoor swimming pools report higher incidence of wheezing and asthma due to inhalation of chloroform compared to children with no swimming pools. The more frequent the exposure, the greater the risk of symptoms. For instance, lifeguards reported irritant eye, nasal, and throat symptoms, and competitive swimmers reported more lower and upper respiratory symptoms than a control group of athletes. Chlorinated water also negatively affects the elasticity of skin and hair. Chlorination exposure has 3 routes: inhalation, ingestion, and absorption. Inhalation is responsible for 2/3 of our exposure to chloroform, primarily due to showering and swimming. Drinking and cooking with chlorinated water pose health risks as well. Unfortunately, most of our research on chlorination byproducts are inconclusive. Experts believe that the accumulation of chlorination byproducts over years is the main concern, but as you can imagine, that would be highly difficult to study. So why do we still take these risks and chlorinate our water? A writer for The Economist states that water is the oil of the 21st century. Aside from describing the depletion of natural water sources, Liverest also hints at the business factor. Chemical companies have more value when there is a need to rid toxins from the natural water supply. Basically, chlorination byproducts mean money for these companies, so naturally, many believe that the business dimension is driving the chlorination industry. The future outlook of chlorination should focus on education and prevention. The first step is to educate consumers about the safety of their drinking water. Consumers are able to check the levels of chlorination byproducts in their water by contacting NPA. You can find their information on slide 18. Filtration is the most effective way to eliminate byproducts in your drinking water. Some popular options are Aquasana filters for your shower and Culligan filters for your sink faucets. Swimmers must also make sure their swimming pools are tested periodically to check chloroform levels, and appropriate filters are installed by specialists. The next option is to find disinfection alternatives. The 3 most researched methods are ozonation, chloramines, and UV light exposure. As you can see on slide 19, chloramines are a weaker disinfectant than chlorine, but generally more safe and stable, reducing the potential formation of byproducts. Ozonation is much stronger and kills disease microorganisms much faster than chlorine, but has high capital costs and is difficult to measure and dose. UV light exposure is also effective, relatively easy to handle, and has no chemical additives, but poses the risk of photoreactivation and high costs. Another step towards curbing health risks is for the government to politically and financially support EPA and other environmental health agencies in order to promote extensive research and development involving chlorination safety and alternative disinfection methods. Chlorination is currently our most effective strategy for water disinfection, since the benefits outweigh risks and there is a lack of concrete evidence supporting efficient alternatives. At the same time, due to the potential health risks, tap water consumers and swimmers are urged to educate themselves on water safety and invest in filtration systems to reduce the risks of chlorination byproducts. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I look forward to any questions that you have.